Welcome to the Elaborate Topics podcast, where we focus on lab-specific strategies for medical laboratory professionals. We're proud to be the healthcare detectives that work behind the scenes to get the results needed to influence medical decisions. Let's grow together and jump right into the lab.
Will the clinical labs be taken over by companies that don't have a clue about running labs? All these high network and high-tech companies such as Amazon, Walmart, and the likes are zooming in to take over the way we do healthcare and clinical labs. Is this new direction setting healthcare up for disaster or preparing us to positively address our gaps and changing needs? Welcome to Elaborate Topics Podcast. Elaborate Topic Podcast is a weekly podcast where myself and my co-host Tywana Wilson, Stephanie Whitehead, and other guests bring you topics to help you to excel in your laboratory journey. And today I'll be your host. I'm Lona Small, an executive leadership and career success coach, and I'm so excited about today's episode. So last week, I saw several shares on a news article from Dark Intelligence with the headlines, Amazon expands its virtual primary care service, including clinical laboratory testing, to all 50 states, along with more locations for one medical clinic. It brought about varying views and comments about the pros and the cons on LinkedIn. Some of these comments were extreme to how dare a tech company to think that they can run a medical lab that needs background for such technical expertise. In the article, there were quite a few different comments that I pulled out or quotes. The Dark Intelligence said Amazon's stated goal of disrupting traditional healthcare processes and workflow continues. Another part of the article said consumer demand for telehealth services and convenient healthcare locations fuels Amazon's quest to reinvent healthcare. Another thing that really got my attention was from Neil Lindsay, the Senior Vice President of Amazon Healthcare Services. In his press release, it says, "We're on a mission to make it dramatically easier for people to find, to choose, to afford, and engage with the services, products, and professionals they need to get and stay healthy, and coming together with One Medical is a big step on that journey." And my response to one of the posts was, "You're so correct about adjusting to change. This may be the needed solution based on the many changes in healthcare and laboratory landscape. There is the obvious limited human resources and changes in consumers' expectations." And I continue, "What's going to be vital is to have laboratory and healthcare professionals on board who really understand the regulatory and the quality requirements and ensure that these are in place." So, what are your thoughts about tech companies coming in to disrupt traditional healthcare processes and workflow? And this really brings me back to an experience with my friend, a nurse, and my family member, a doctor. After an evening of chatting and having fun at dinner, my family member, the doctor, started talking about a patient with lupus, and she quickly turned away from me and turned to my friend, the nurse, and said, "You would know what I'm talking about." I was hurt. And I started thinking, how come others, even other healthcare professionals, don't know what we do. I started even saying, why aren't medical lab professionals valued, respected? And I started having thoughts like, should I have gone to medical school or nursing school or some other career choice? And I know a lot of times temporarily we get these feelings like we're not valued. Everybody else think they know what we are supposed to know, and they have no idea what we know. And for me, it had to take me going to do my healthcare MBA, opened up my eyes about why. And when I did my healthcare MBA, I did a lot of collaborative projects. The class had more than 70% of physicians. We had nurses. We have people from radiology, respiratory therapists, pharmacists, and limited number of labs, but we had a lot of collaboration. And what I found was it was a whole different experience. People wanted to hear what I had to contribute. People valued my contribution. They actually wanted to learn more about what we did. And to me, that was like, what? You work in the hospital? You don't know all this? And so, because my contribution was valued, I took a whole different perspective because we grew from that. That was an eye opener for me. And I realized that it's not that people don't want to know. Sometimes they're either busy with what they have to do, we're busy with what we have to do. We don't know enough about what the respiratory therapists do. We think we do. Just like how people think they know what we do, but there's just so much to our profession. There's so much to when it comes to radiology, and there's so much when it comes to nursing until you really go and either learn about it, study about it, there's limited information. And so what I walked away from that experience is that when we contribute to positive outcomes in a collaborative environment, we demonstrate value, we gain influence, and we make an impact. And for me, after I left, I did so many interdisciplinary team work because it was important for me to demonstrate the value of the lab and how we contribute to the bigger picture of diagnostic medicine. And I realized that collaboration did justice to that, and it caused people to value more what we do. They come to us to ask questions. They realize that we contribute so much on the bigger scale. You are an important part of the whole. So instead of feeling hidden, I bring visibility to the medical lab profession. Instead of feeling undervalued, I'm confident in what I contribute to my career and in healthcare. Instead of being unclear about my next career opportunity, should I go to nursing school? Should I go to medical school? No, I use my unique skill set to propel me to contribute to my highest levels in healthcare. And that's what I coach others to do, because we have such a unique thing to contribute to bring us to the highest level of healthcare. Contributing to positive outcome in a collaborative environment, that's how we demonstrate value, gain influence, and make an impact. And at the end of the article, there was something that was said, and this was from the Dark Intelligence. They actually said clinical laboratories in areas where One Medical operates may want to investigate opportunities to collaborate with Amazon. So today I'm going to talk about collaboration. I'm just going to give some basic concepts on collaboration, the value of collaboration, some benefits of collaboration, and some examples that I've been involved in over the years through interdisciplinary teams, and just bringing visibility to the lab and just showing the value of the lab in interdisciplinary teams. From this episode. I hope that will stir up some ideas for you. And we will continue to talk more about collaboration and how we can collaborate on the bigger scale, like working along with Amazon and other situations. This is really important now with so many changes going on the healthcare landscape and when it comes to the lab, when it comes to human resources. So collaboration, what is it? And I'm going to use some math here, some simple math. Is collaboration 4 plus 3 equals 7? 4 of my ideas plus 3 of somebody else's, now it's not 4, now we have 7 ideas. Or is collaboration 4 times 3 equal 27? Now 4 of my ideas times 3 of somebody else's ideas, now we have 27. Is it 4 plus 3 equals 7 or 4 times 3 equal 27? And I always see, when I talk about collaboration, I see it as a multiplier. And I think it's a multiplier, but it's probably even more than just that. There's just so much exponential growth that happens during collaboration. And I'm going to just list some of the reasons why it's a multiplier, and we'll give some examples and a few cases that you can learn from and even apply when you just start collaborating, or if you've been collaborating for a while and you want to move to the next level. So it is a multiplier. So it builds on combined expertise exponentially. So you may think, okay, they don't have the expertise of a medical lab professional, and that's a tech company. But by collaborating, your expertise will go with all those expertise that Amazon have, that has made their company so successful when it comes to workflow, when it comes to delivering at a certain time, when it comes to technology and even working with limiting human resources. There's just so much that with these combined expertise that you can build on. And Amazon cannot do it by themselves. They grow to a certain level with what they have, with expertise that they have. Combining their expertise with your expertise is exponential. So think about that, how the lab could grow exponentially and bring so much more visibility to what we do. Another thing is birth innovative solutions. So when you collaborate and we talk about that multiplier, it doesn't just have my idea, your idea coming together, but it brings innovation. And I know I am a big proponent of process improvement, but the more I think about it, a lot of times process improvement is basically what can we do to improve this old process over and over again? Small tweaks, we're improving these processes. And sometimes it's good for a short term, but sometimes when there's a lot of changes in the environment, we need innovation. And innovation is coming up with fairly new ideas that's going to really meet the needs of what's going on. When you collaborate, those ideas that multiply birth innovative solutions. Another thing, again, and I'm a process improvement proponent, and I'm really moving into innovation. When you talk about simplifying and standardizing workflow and processes, a lot of times when you come up with innovative ideas, it's sometimes simpler than some of the complex ideas that we have or the way in which we do things. Another thing with collaboration as a multiplier, demonstrate, multiply value in a combined experience. So for me, while I was collaborating in grad school together in that combined experience, what it was doing is not just demonstrating my value, but it was also multiplying my value. So can you imagine the lab right now? There's just so much value that we have. Once we contribute that value, what it's actually doing is actually multiplying through exponential value. Wow. Amazon using your expertise to add to their thing, it's not just showing the value we currently have, it will multiply the value, because now we're going to reach more people in shorter time, and people are going to really see the importance of lab. We've been behind the scene for so long that other people are using our work, and unfortunately the doctors send the things to the lab, they get the results, and they're the person who are saying this is what your diagnosis is, and we're never seen. Once we go out there to contribute our value, that's how we are going to be seen in a much bigger way. That's how we're going to really multiply our value. When we collaborate and demonstrate collaboration as a multiplier, we grow by learning new information. So if you're in new environment, new things, they're not only growing from you, but you're growing from all this new information. Now there's a lot of technology out there. There's AI, there's just so much. Imagine contributing and collaborating in environments that you're not used to. There's just so much more that you can learn and apply right now in the medical lab. It allows us to elevate and amplify, because when I think about multiplier, amplification comes to me. It helps us to amplify our message or our cause. And a lot of the examples that I'm going to use are basic examples where we can apply all of this. It doesn't have to be with Amazon, but I'm giving you the basic foundation for collaboration for now. So those are some of the ways in which collaboration as a multiplier builds on combined expertise exponentially, multiplies ideas to birth innovative solution, simplify and standardize workflow and processes, demonstrate and multiply value in a combined experience, grow by learning new information, elevate and amplify your message or your cause. So collaboration is a multiplier. So we're going to just give some high-level examples in which you can apply collaboration now. So you don't have to wait until you're called to Amazon. So you can apply it now, get comfortable with the concept. So if there's a need for you to collaborate with a high-tech company or a high-network company, you know your value and you know what you're contributing to that cause. So talk about collaboration for positive outcomes. I'm going to give you 4 ways in which you can do it interdisciplinary, starting within the lab, not even outsiders yet, within yourself. We have to start here. So just routine lab services and improvements. A lot of times we have one person doing things like new instrument setup, instrument validation, lot to lot, and just one person saying, oh, this is Lona's project, she's going to do some process improvement, and it's seen as a one-person job. And many times it's not. That one person that is given as if they're the one doing the work many times need information from others. So why not just make this a collaborative effort? Let's change the whole concept where we teach in management that we have that one person that we can't do without. Let's stop teaching about this one person that's setting the culture of your organization, that one special tech that does all the calibration, the lot-to-lot checking and everything. And if that person is here, we don't know what we'll do. And nobody else is experienced to do it. What about collaborating even with others who you may think that may not have the experience? There's a lot of expertise that they can bring to the table. So that person who is seasoned, who have all the experience with that instrument setup and all of that, work with another new tech who is savvy, who knows about technology, can teach that other person. So you're both learning from different expertise. So the young person can probably come up with a more efficient way of doing things, a more efficient way of analyzing the data to make it faster, simpler, and they're learning from each other. So encourage intradisciplinary collaboration within your lab when it comes to routine lab services and improvements. Another intradisciplinary within us, things like conferences, we see that a lot. You can collaborate on conferences. You may have expertise in a certain area. You can collaborate with someone else that have expertise in something else, and you can come together to have a talk. We do that a lot. Elaborate Topics podcast, we do that a lot on our roundtables. We have different perspectives, different experiences, and we'll talk about one topic and give our own experiences or expertise on different areas. And it's so beneficial for the audience to hear from different aspects. Do that in conferences. Elaborate Topics podcast host, we go to conferences and we do the same thing. So you can collaborate that way. You can collaborate on social media when it comes to bringing visibility and advocacy. So just sharing your opinion in a collaborative post where it's not just reading and moving along and but just giving your ideas is going to be really helpful when it comes to advocacy and visibility. Twitter chats. I know I'm not on Twitter a lot, but I hear about some of the Twitter chats and the case studies that's shared, and people collaborate on those. Podcasts, of course, we just talk about that. LinkedIn Live. I host LinkedIn Live where I have people come on with so many different ideas. I learned so much during the whole challenge with staffing. I learned from people who are in rural areas. I learned from people from the colleges, their perspective. I've learned so many different perspectives when it comes to staffing. That was so helpful to me, and I'm sure it was helpful to the audience that they could use that to help them in their own labs, ideas in which they could come up with solutions. So just collaborating. I'm just getting ready to be part of another collaborative process where different lab leaders are coming in to talk about their solutions when it comes to staffing, and that's also in a rural area. Collaborating on scientific research and publication, contributing to public health from the lab, different programs, mentorship, coaching, training, and webinars you can collaborate. These are ideas that I'm giving you to think about. We need to start getting that muscle of collaboration and know that there's a lot of part of our culture where we have our head down, we get our work done, and this is my work. I hear that a lot, where people start naming work based on someone else. And we need to start practicing to collaborate among ourselves so that we can do interdisciplinary collaboration. I gave quite a bit of example of collaboration or elaborate topic hosts. We do a lot of collaboration. We love to collaborate on different things. We even invite other podcast hosts to collaborate. And I get to speak on other stages because of that, to collaborate in even outside. So let's talk about interdisciplinary collaboration, where you can collaborate with other teams outside of the lab. And I do a lot of that because I realized from grad school that really made a difference. And once I got back out into the real world, it was true. I proved that collaboration is so important, that when you contribute to positive outcomes in a collaborative environment, we demonstrate value, we gain influence, and we make an impact. So interdisciplinary collaboration, things like committees that you can be part of, you can get in. Some of the committees that I can think of that I've been part of, anticoagulation committees, where we are contributing data to help the anticoagulation team when it comes to adjusting certain dosage and a lot of things to do with how patients are treated depend on our data, and yet we are not at the table. So I'm part of an anticoagulation committee. If you're in coagulation and there is one in your hospital, inquire about it and see how you can contribute. Sepsis committee, we help a lot with reducing sepsis in the hospital. We at the lab, when it comes to how fast and how accurate, how fast do we collect our whole blood lactate, how fast do we report it, it's part of some of these order sets when it should be collected. If we're aware of that and we're working together, it makes it easier for the patient. Sitting on those committees can help them with a lot of ideas that they haven't thought about and help us to understand how we can help them. So stroke committees, central line association, bloodstream infection, we contribute a lot to that. Now that they knew just by sitting together with us how just working in the ICU and going into a central line too many times, getting that specimen contaminated with IV fluid, how that cancellation could affect the patient because they're going to go back in that central line and they could cause a risk for central line associated bloodstream infection. Once they found that out, they wanted to partner with us. We collaborated on just giving them information, they knowing how to collect these specimens, how to pause the line, and so on and so forth. Being on value-based care committees, training, nursing skills day and education, diagnostic medical teams, being part of patient safety investigation. When they do a root cause and your contribution is not there, many times what they think is the root cause is not. So many times the lab can contribute in that sense. Just supporting other cause that's outside of your area. Sometimes we collaborate, like during COVID, you had nursing, you had the lab, you had so many people working together in tents to collect specimen and to send them to the lab, people understanding proper collection protocol and transportation, and you working together. In healthcare, so these are some examples of collaboration when it comes to interdisciplinary. I'm going to give you a few cases, maybe that could trigger you for your ideas to start collaborating when it comes to interdisciplinary collaboration and whet your appetite so that you can start thinking about how you can collaborate at the bigger scale. Few examples of interdisciplinary when it comes to patient safety. So there were some patient safety events being reported that phlebotomists were collecting on arms that were restricted for blood collection, arms that may have shunts, maybe a mastectomy, they can't collect on that side. And so when we investigated, we worked with nursing. And I know I told you about comprehensive unit-based safety program is another committee that I was part of, where you have people who are from all different disciplines. Whenever there's a patient safety, we'll look at it and say, how can we prevent this from happening again? So what happened? How did it happen? How can we prevent it? So we brought this to this committee. And when we looked at what was going on, they didn't have a standardized way of notifying phlebotomists that there was a restriction. Sometimes they have a wristband, different people use different things. You have new nurses, some people use the old way, they change different ways. Some people just write on a piece of paper, they put it in the room, and there wasn't a standardized way. Phlebotomists walk in the room, there's a piece of thing scribbled on the board, they're not going to read that. Do not draw from left arm. So we came up with a standardized signage throughout the hospital. We worked with facilities, we collaborated, we had nursing champions, and we designed it in the phlebotomy, and facilities made those ready. We had it part of the nurses. They can order it through their own ordering system. They were part of the education. They championed it, and they made sure that they were using those signage. And they were rewarded for using the signage. So that was a great success with just collaborating, and they realizing the value of just having proper signage for phlebotomists. We collaborating on nursing skill days to reduce pre-analytical error. We worked with the educators. We did all the planning together. And so we were part of that event. And that was an eye-opener in terms of learning the importance of pre-analytical errors. A lot of these things nurses had no idea. There were a lot of wow moments. They were like, wow, now that we know. But then, of course, there's all this turnover, not only for us, but also for nursing. And so just being on committees and being on like patient safety groups, like comprehensive unit-based safety program, whenever there's a big conference, like there was a big national event for comprehensive unit-based safety program, the lab was invited to do a presentation. So we are now visible. We are not just a second thought when something happened. They're like, we'd want for you to be there. Another example when it comes to collaboration was something that we thought we knew, and we would tell the nurses to disconnect your IV so that you don't cause IV contamination. And there was a lot of pushback from nursing. But due to collaboration, we were able to sit with a group from HEIC to understand what's going on there. What they told us was they had something going around to tell the nurses, if you disconnect, you infect. We should not be disconnecting IV line. So we sat down and we worked together. We look at CLSI, we look at different recommendations, and then we worked together to change a procedure for both phlebotomy and nursing. And so instead of disconnecting, we did the pause, which is recommended, and then everyone was on the same page, same procedure. And they asked us, send us the data. We want to make sure we are reducing the amount of time that we go in the line. So if there's an IV contamination that has to be canceled several times, we want to talk to any nurse that's in the ICU that make sure you're pausing so that it's one specimen, so you don't have to keep going back in the line. So we were able to partner with them to help them to reduce CLABSI and also make it safe for the patient and for phlebotomy. So phlebotomy had that influence and had that impact just through collaboration. And so again, when we contribute to positive outcomes in a collaborative environment, we demonstrate value, we gain influence, and we make an impact. And so those were some examples that you can already get involved in at this level, whether it's intra-disciplinary collaboration or interdisciplinary collaboration. You can start collaborating and see the value of collaboration. I know a lot of times we get really upset that people don't know what we do. They think they can do our jobs. And there's just so much more that we can do in terms of contributing to the bigger picture, because that's who we are. We are necessary. You are an important part of the whole. You're not a silo. You are an important part of the whole. So will you be siloed, or are you going to collaborate? And let me just go in and just show some of the differences between working in silo versus collaboration. So when you work in silo, no one knows about your expertise. When you collaborate, you demonstrate value and you increase demand for your expertise. And that we saw a lot, where people were reaching out to us if they needed information. When it comes to anticoagulant committee, when it comes to the sepsis group, when it comes to so many areas, they were reaching out for our expertise. Another thing for silo, you have limited or no connection to experts and people you need to reach. So when you want to reach people because you have not been collaborating and getting to know them, now you only have your expertise to work on. So that's limited. Whereas in collaboration, you connect to teams and to professionals in and outside of your field. So you have a wide range of expertise to work with to come up with solution. Another thing with silo, there's difficulty in finding solutions. Whereas when you collaborate, there's multiple creative ideas in one place, which result in innovative solution. So we talk about just being in that environment is really innovative. So it's not just your ideas coming with that other idea, but you're in a situation where there's all this innovative solution when you have these creative ideas coming together. And so usually in silos, sometimes it's difficult to find the solution. When you collaborate, you have a lot of exponential and innovative solution. In silo, you have limited expertise to accomplish your goal. When you're collaborating, you join with others with diverse expertise to accomplish your goal. So is being siloed better than collaborating? That's a question for you to think about. So I know a lot of people may be saying, if I decide to collaborate, I have all these ideas and they may take my ideas. But I'll say to you, what will happen based on some of these examples, you will expand on your ideas. You won't be at the position you are now. It's a growth opportunity to expand your ideas. And another thing I want to say, you're unique and you do things differently. So even if that person had your idea, you have so much background and other background that comes together with that idea. That's what makes you unique. That's what makes you stand out, and that's what makes you different. So your outcomes and your output are going to be received by others in a different way. Will you isolate or will you collaborate? Share your thoughts in our LinkedIn groups and in our Facebook group. Let's continue with this conversation because I'm going to do some more episodes about how you can use these foundational concepts that I've talked about when it comes to interdisciplinary and intradisciplinary collaboration and expand on that, on how we can collaborate on the bigger scale with all the changes in our landscape. Will you isolate or will you collaborate? Thank you so much for listening. And you can listen to this and other episode on directimpactbroadcasting.com or any of your favorite podcast platform. And we are also on LabVine. You can jump on LabVine, register, and get onto VineStream to listen to this episode. There are so many other resources there that you can get when you get on. And you, as I say, our Facebook group or LinkedIn group, if you haven't joined, please do send us an email at elaboratetopics@directimpactbroadcasting.com with questions or if you want to be a guest on the show. So reach out to me directly, Lona Small on LinkedIn. That's one of my most common social media. Send me a direct message if you want, and we can talk about how you can come up with ways in which you can demonstrate your value through collaboration. And have an awesome one.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Elaborate Topics, where your hosts discussed relevant strategies for laboratory professionals. Please subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and listen to us on directimpactbroadcasting.com. Stay tuned for another episode with information you can use to excel in your laboratory career.